Salve, salve Power Fans ligados na Power Rangers Brasil, em parceria com The Walking Nerds e hoje em parceria com o Telecine também. Estamos aqui direto do estúdio de vidro do Telecine na CCXP 2019 e cara, tem muita gente aqui atrás, tem muita gente passando pela feira, tem muita coisa legal que vai acontecer na CCXP 2019 e se você quiser, você é nosso convidado para acompanhar a gente tudo que vai rolar nessa CCXP 2019. Então, vem com a gente, bora!
So, thank you so much for being here. I'd like to start by asking, how is Brazil so far for you? Are you enjoying it?
Brazil has been amazing. Thank you, obrigado, to meus amigos. You guys have been amazing to me. Thank you so much. Brazil is a beautiful country. São Paulo, there's a lot of traffic. Big buildings. It's worse than Los Angeles, where I live. So I was really surprised, but overall, Brazil is very good.
Awesome. So let's start. I want to ask, what was the first time you ever heard about Power Rangers? Because I mean, when someone pitches the show to you back then, it must have been pretty wild. Like, are we gonna get this weird Japanese show and mixed with American footage, and we have martial arts and people with uniforms? Like, how it was when the first time you heard about it, and what was your reaction?
Well, I mean, the first time that I heard about it, it wasn't, they didn't tell us anything about the Japanese footage. It was just like an open casting call in Los Angeles, and the show wasn't called Power Rangers, it was called Phantoms. And they just wanted 5 people that were over 18 but looked younger. And I originally auditioned for a role of Victor, which eventually became Jason the Red Ranger, but at the first audition, the character name was Victor. And so I auditioned for the role of the Red Ranger for 3 auditions, and they said, I could tell they weren't going to cast me in the role. So I begged to read for the role of Billy, and they told me no. No thank you, you don't look like Billy, we have other people. And I said, please let me read for the role of Billy, and they said no. And so I got really frustrated, but I knew as an actor I could do it, so I went into the bathroom and I wet my hair down, and I borrowed somebody's glasses, and I borrowed somebody's button-up shirt, and I buttoned it kind of goofy, and I came back and I said, please let me read for the role of Billy. And they said, okay. And so then I had 5 more auditions for that role, and here I am.
And during those auditions, every time we see that, one of the things that they were looking the most was like experience with like gymnastics or martial arts. And how was your preparation in that sense to get to the role of a Power Ranger?
Well, I mean, one of the breakdown, part of what we call a breakdown in terms of the casting was that they wanted you to be a martial artist, a gymnast, or a dancer. And for those of you that don't know, but I'm sure you do, Amy Jo Johnson, who's the Pink Ranger, and myself, we're competitive gymnasts most of our lives. So that sort of helped us get the part. And then some of the others were martial artists, and Walter Jones, the Black Ranger, was a dancer. So this certainly helps, but back then they wanted you to be able to act. So some of us, I don't know, we tried to act, but I'm sure some of you guys look at it now and think our acting's really goofy. But I took it serious, man. I was there.
So let's get more into the specifics of the role of Billy. Did they give you anything of any explanation besides like, oh, Billy is like the geeky guy of the group? Was there any backstory, or were these some kinds of things that you helped create when the show started, the filming, when the show started the production?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really a backstory, and sometimes as an actor, you're never given the backstory. So that's your job as an actor. If you're a serious actor, you go home and you create the character, and you create the backstory of what this person's life has been like to this point, what his family life is like, what he's into, and things like that. But obviously the writers on the TV show have a huge input in that, so they don't necessarily know what I'm thinking as an actor, and I don't necessarily know what they're thinking as writers, and so I get the script and I try to incorporate what I created for the character into what they've written for the character. So, I mean, there's a lot of working together, and then as time goes on, the directors and producers at least with me, started to trust me and trust my instincts about where Billy would go and what Billy would do, and would Billy really make this sort of choice in this situation. So I think for me as an actor, I'm so happy that I ended up getting to play the role of Billy, because if you watch Billy over the course of the 200 episodes that I did, you really see Billy grow and develop as a young man. And so like as an actor, that was an amazing experience to get to take a character on a journey.
Awesome. We're gonna get to that part. Yeah, I'm really dying to ask you something about that. But first, I wanted to ask you about...
I hate these chairs, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
So uncomfortable. No offense to CCXP. I love you.
In the beginning of the show, like, how was the chemistry with the other actors, especially with Trini? Because early in the show, like, Trini acts as the closest person to Billy, even to the point that she's almost the translator of what he says to the rest of the group. So how's the chemistry with all the actors, especially with Trini?
Well, with the actors, I didn't like them. That doesn't translate well into Portuguese. No, of course, I loved everybody. But as the original cast, we had amazing chemistry together because we went through so much together. We went through the auditioning process together. Most of us shot the original pilot together. So, you know, we really grew, and it really seemed like we were really good friends in real life. So I think that helped the television series and helped its popularity. In terms of Trini and Billy's relationship, I always thought that was interesting, and you know, they played that for a while, that Billy always spoke in these big words and none of his friends understood them except for Trini. And Trini, as you said, was the translator, because Kimberly would be like, what did he say? Or Zach would say that as well. And so I thought that was an interesting dynamic, but as an actor, after doing that a few times for my character, I started to feel like, wow, how frustrating this must be for Billy, that he speaks and nobody understands him. So like, to be that misunderstood in the world was really frustrating for me as an actor and for Billy the character. So after a while, Billy still used his techno babble, as they called it, but he would also start speaking a little bit more normal so his friends could understand it better. I mean, there's lots. You know, we work 12 to 15-hour days, and so we get goofy at certain points. Amy Jo and I always, from the beginning, had a really strong bond and connection, and she and I would get into like giggle, what we call giggle or laughing fits. Like I would just look at her and we'd just start laughing for no reason, and we couldn't stop. And you know, Jason Frank is a big prankster, and he would like to play practical jokes on people. One of the funniest things that I like to tell, and I think I told it to some people yesterday, was when we went to Australia to film Power Rangers the movie. Jason David Frank, who I consider to be an amazing athlete, amazing martial artist, extremely smart, but he can't rollerblade for the life of it. So like it was embarrassing to watch him try to rollerblade. And if you watch the movie, you'll see him in the background rollerblading like this. He can't do it. It's like embarrassing. So I just thought that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, because he's such a good athlete that it's shocking to me that he wouldn't be able to rollerblade. Everybody else could.
And as you said, you guys worked a lot. Your work schedule was pretty intense between being on the set and doing after that recording. Like when you recorded the dialogue for the Japanese scenes. So I probably can imagine that you guys weren't very aware of how big the show was getting when it went on air. So when was the first time that you realized that, man, this thing is huge, I'm now a superstar?
I don't know if I was ever a superstar, but yeah.
You were.
Oh, was I? Okay. So, I mean, we did film almost the entire first season before the show even started airing, so we really had no gauge of how the popularity of the show was going to go. So when it started airing, we started hearing things in the news, and the producers would come to set and say, hey, you guys are #1. You're the #1 kids show in America. And then when it started airing in the world, they'd say, you guys are #1 in this country, this country, this country. And we were, you know, you hear that and you don't really know how to comprehend it. But then you start going out in the world and you go shopping and you notice people recognizing you, people coming up to you, wanting to take pictures with you, wanting your autograph. So that was cool. But I guess we didn't really realize how huge the show was until in Los Angeles we were scheduled to go to Universal Studios and but just do like one little live stage event at a really small theater, maybe the size of this theater. And within 2 hours of them opening the doors to Universal Studios, they sold out the entire park, which is about 35,000 people. So they had to shut the doors to Universal Studios. And in Los Angeles, we created a traffic jam. I don't know how to translate into kilometers, but a traffic jam in 8 miles in each direction. And we shut down a freeway in Los Angeles, which is unheard of. So that was pretty insane. And instead of doing one little stage show, they moved us to their huge amphitheater, which seats about 7,000 people, and we ended up doing 6 or 7 shows. So we did a show for about 35,000 people that day, which is pretty intense. 35,000 screaming little kids, like 5, 6, 7 year olds.
Was there around between season 1 and 2? Was there around between season 1 and 2?
I would say, yeah, it was between season 1 and 2. You know, the popularity of the show I would say that was like in 1994.
And going to from season 1 to season 2, we had a season that had a lot of changes, both in the show and behind the scenes. We had a huge cast change. And how did that happen from the inside? What was the reaction from you guys who stayed?
I don't know, I don't like to talk about it too much because it really is a difficult thing because there's so much, it was complicated. You know, and I wish the original 6 actors, the original 6 Power Rangers, I wish all 6 of us could have been on the same page to really make a change for the better, for all of us, but we couldn't get everybody on board, unfortunately, and so 3 people were let go and 3 people stayed, and I think it changed the dynamic of the show. I think a lot was lost in that procedure. No offense to anybody that came after, but you know, the chemistry and the dynamic of the show started to go down from that point.
One of the changes that you mentioned is that around that time we had the cast, the change of the cast. I think that the people, the characters that stayed, they became more relevant. They gave the producers gave a bigger role, and I think that's where the time where it really started to change and evolve, as you said. And what was the biggest challenge in getting this bigger role and making Billy evolve from this stereotype geeky guy to a fully realized man hero that became one of the most important people in the group?
Well, I don't know if that's true, but thank you. I mean, that's just part of what felt to me, I didn't realize it was a conscious thing, or it just felt like the natural progression of Billy. Because in the first season, he couldn't really fight, and then you saw Jason teaching Billy martial arts, and Billy got his first belt, and you know, you started seeing Billy develop his confidence as well over the course of the time. Billy had like 8, I think, different girlfriends. So Billy was, you know, really getting something for a geeky guy. So he was doing good. But I just thought it was the natural progression. I really enjoyed getting to take on a bigger role. I really enjoyed Billy getting to be, I would say, the leader in like the Alien Ranger saga, when everybody else became kids and Billy was the only one that could get himself back to being adults, and he sort of took on that leader role. So again, it was just really great as an actor to get to see Billy evolve like that.
I'd like to speak a little about, we already mentioned that here in the panel, but I'd like to talk about more the movie and about shooting the movie. What were the biggest difference between shooting the TV show and shooting the movie, and in terms of like how was the work on set and the production values?
Well, obviously, I hear from so many of you guys that you really love the 1995 movie, so obrigado. And we had a lot of fun getting to film that. We went to Australia, so for most of us in the cast, that was our first time getting to go out of the country and to film something on such a large scale. Obviously, the sets were much bigger. The command center I thought was awesome, and it was so much fun to film in the command center for the movie. So that was cool. And you know, the hours are the same. We still work 12 to 15-hour days. But when you film a movie, they film it a lot slower than they film a television series. When we were filming the TV show, we filmed 4 episodes at one time. So everything that takes place in the command center, for those 4 episodes, we would go and we would film in the command center usually for like 2 or 3 days, every scene that takes place in the command center, and then we'd rotate to the school, and then we'd shoot every scene that takes place in the school for those 4 episodes, and then we'd go to the juice bar and all that kind of stuff, and then out on location. So it's very fast-paced in the TV show, and then when you go do the film, when we're doing the TV show, we film about 12 pages a day. And then when we go to do the film, you only film about 3 pages a day. So it's much slower, and you're sitting around, and you're bored, and that's when actors get into trouble. So Jason Frank would often get in trouble.
How much trouble?
A lot of trouble. He's really a bad person. Not like bad, but like, you know, he likes to get in trouble. You tell him no, he'll do the opposite.
Was there any particular episode that...
I mean, there's one where we were filming on quads, like 4-wheelers, dirt bike thingies, and the producers wanted us to be in our parking lot and practice riding them. And where we filmed in Los Angeles, there was these big mountains sort of kind of around our studio, and Jason just took off, went up a mountain, and flew. We just saw him launch, and then you just see him drop behind the mountain. And the producers were like, oh my, I don't know if it's wrong to say oh my God in Portuguese, but they were like, oh my God. And then we didn't see him. He didn't come back up over the mountain for a while. And so everybody's panicking, you know, and then finally you see him come up over and come down, and the producer just, oh my gosh, yelled at him so bad. But of course, Jason has a way of being charming, and he was immediately forgiven.
Back from the movie back to the show, when you guys got to season 3, which incorporated a lot of things of the movie, but also got the show into a more sci-fi vibe, and Billy, a lot of the times was in the center, as you said. He was when we got the Alien Ranger saga, that everybody became kids, and Billy got back to an adult before them. So what did you think about the role of Billy in this particular part of the show? Because I feel that it was around the time that he started evolving from a ranger to a bigger role and becoming this guy that's more behind the scenes, and he's closer to Zordon, and he understands how everything works, the morphing grid and the technology behind the Power Rangers. How was that for you, the role of Billy shifting into that?
Again, I think it's the natural evolution of Billy. As an actor, it was a little frustrating in the beginning because I was no longer a superhero. I didn't get to wear spandex anymore, which probably was okay. But it was cool because I feel like Billy was starting to become a Zordon. So he really was trying to gather as much information as he could and just really help develop this technology that obviously is much. The technology of being a Power Ranger and morphing is obviously a little bit more than Billy could understand. So for him to absorb all that information and to grow and to try to understand that so that he can help make that intelligence better was really cool to be playing that as an actor. And so, you know, when I left the TV show and Billy flew off to outer space, I think that is actually how it should have ended for Billy, because that's where he would be and that's where he still is.
But before he went to space, everybody was guessing that he would become the Gold Ranger. And that was a big part of the whole Gold Ranger mystery. Like, Gold Ranger appears, Billy vanishes, and well, everybody. I thought Billy was the Gold Ranger for a long time, and I wish Billy was the Gold Ranger. But eventually, Jason came back, which was also awesome.
Not really. Totally kidding. Just kidding.
How would you think that mystery played out, and what would you think how the show would be if Billy actually became the Gold Ranger?
Well, I mean, I know that the writers and the producers teased quite a bit that Billy was going to be the Gold Ranger. They hinted to it a lot, and it was never discussed that I would be the Gold Ranger. It was never meant to be. They were trying several different people out to be the Gold Ranger, and eventually Austin came back, which, like you said, is a good thing that Jason was. But I am humbled, and I thank you, obrigado. I like hearing that people think that Billy or I should have been the Gold Ranger. I tell Austin this all the time, that people bring me Gold Ranger figures and have me sign them. So that's funny. But you know, I was never meant to be the Gold Ranger. But you know, I know a lot of people tell me that they were disappointed that I wasn't the Gold Ranger. So that's nice and it's humbling. So does that answer your question, or did I not answer?
Yeah, no, that's.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sure.
100%.
100%. Getting more to the recent Power Rangers stuff, especially the Power Rangers fandom. We had this resurgence of Power Rangers in the past few years, especially with cars like Power Morphica and such. And every actor has a different story of how they got back to the fandom and how they realized that Power Rangers was still big and had a very, very passionate fan base. So I'd like to ask, how was the moment that you realized that, wow, Power Rangers still has a very good and very passionate fan base?
I mean, I was actually shocked because the first Comic-Con I did, it was like at an anime festival, and I was surprised that people still wanted to come to panels like this and hear me talk about Power Rangers. I did that show, that Comic-Con with Jason David Frank. He's the first one that said, oh, you should come and do Comic-Cons, whatever, and I didn't really think too much of it. So I went and I was like, oh wow, this is crazy that people wanted to talk to us still. That was so long ago. Now it's even longer, and look at us. So that was interesting, and then, you know, just one thing leads to another, and it just turns into a snowball effect where people are calling you and booking you on Comic-Cons, and it's obviously extremely humbling for me, because I, as an actor and as a human, had no idea the impact of what Power Rangers had on so many people's lives throughout the world. It's really an insane, crazy experience, but humbling, as I say. So, you know, to know that the characters that we played really affected you guys when you were children, and affected you in a good way. We hear so many stories from kids, well, you guys are adults now, but from you guys that say, you know, I had a bad childhood. I didn't have a good family life, but I would turn on Power Rangers, and that would make me feel good about myself, and that would give me hope. So to hear stories like that, I take it to heart, and I take it very serious. And so when I do come and do Comic-Cons, I want you to know that I am extremely grateful to you all, because it means the world to me. And I know many of you travel great distances just to meet us. Like, I know some of you traveled from other countries, you've been on a bus for 2 days, you drove 7 hours, so just know that I don't, I start crying when I'm talking about this, so I'm sorry, but I don't take any of this lightly, because I know that it means a lot to you. So I want to make it the best that I can for all of you. I'm sorry that I cried. From the bottom of my heart, that I genuinely love you. So thank you.
We love you.
David, a couple of years ago, we had a new Power Rangers movie, which readapted the original story. Have you had the opportunity to see it, and what did you think of the new Billy, the new Ranger?
Yeah, I mean, the original cast, we were invited to go to the premiere in Los Angeles, so we all were there, and it was a great experience. And again, it's such an honor that they would base this movie on the original characters, because I think the original characters are the ones that have had the strongest impact on so many people's lives. And so it's an honor that they based on that. And honestly, I liked the movie overall. I thought it was entertaining, and I thought they did a good job. I love R.J. Kyler, who played Billy. I think he did an amazing job, and he and I got to become friends, and we would go out to lunch and talk Billy and all that good stuff, and he would share his experience with me, so it was really awesome to get to have that with him. And you know, if you watch the movie, I think he stole the movie. The movie was about Billy, and I loved it. So I mean, there's a lot of things that could have been different, like the original cast should have been in it. Not necessarily as Power Rangers, but just as something. I would have been happy to play a janitor, just pushing a broom across, you know, the floor or whatever. But so they should have incorporated us in it. I think that would have helped its popularity. I think they should have played the theme song a lot longer. They kind of cut it off, which was weird. They didn't say, I'm gonna get it wrong now. They didn't say it's morphin' time.
Just once.
Just once, but they didn't say it right. They said it very like, it's morphin' time. Like that's not good. You gotta really, you know, it's gonna be strong. É hora de morfar. É hora de morfar. Like that.
And speaking a little bit about the recent seasons of the show, the past couple of seasons we had a lot of the previous actors returning. We had this special anniversary episodes. We had a very big one a couple of years ago for the 25th anniversary. And how would you like to see, and would you like to see Billy coming back to one of these episodes? If you would like to see, how would you like to see him coming back, and which role would you like to see him coming back?
Well, I mean, I've been asked to go back to every single one of those episodes that you're talking about. But I'm a union actor and I don't work non-union jobs. So they filmed the TV show non-union, so I really can't go back. But if I ever did go back, I wouldn't want to go back for one of those episodes, I don't think, because they don't really say where your character's been. They don't really develop it too much, and that's just, to me, that's disingenuous. If I go back, I want to know what my character's been up to, and I want it to be somewhat important to the storyline. So, that being said, I believe in my heart that if Hasbro, who owns the rights to Power Rangers now, would listen to me and listen to the fans around the world, I think it would be amazing if they did like a limited series of like maybe 7 episodes for Netflix or Amazon Prime or whoever. We can find somewhere to air it. If they just did like a limited series of the original cast and sort of like where they are now, I think it would be amazing. It would be a little bit darker than the Power Rangers back in the 90s. It would be a little bit more 14 and over oriented. And I don't know, I've written the first episode and it completely pays homage to Twee Trang, who played Trini, the original Yellow Ranger. And, the story kind of starts there, and then it kind of branches out to where these characters are now. So hopefully Hasbro will listen, and as I say, we're creeping up. We're coming up on our 30th, God help me, our 30th anniversary. And I would hope that Hasbro steps up to the plate and makes something like that happen before the 30-year mark.
I think we can open now to questions from the audience. A gente vai abrir para perguntas para a plateia. A gente tem microfones dos dois lados aqui. Vamos começar com esse lado aqui primeiro.
Queria saber como foi foi ele ajudar os Rangers em Power Rangers Zero e ficar de fora. Como Ranger.
Okay, so you have to give me a second so they can translate for me. What was it like for me helping the Rangers but not actually getting to be a Power Ranger, right? See? Okay. At first, it was a little frustrating and difficult as an actor, but again, I thought that was the right thing for Billy to be doing at the time, for the evolution of the character of Billy. I liked that he was what we call technical advisor in the command center and the technical advisor for the team. So I think Billy was doing a lot more behind the scenes than even the audience knows in terms of creating new powers and in terms of understanding all the intricate, many facets that go on in the command center and about being a Power Ranger.
And what expected the future Power Rangers? What do you mean? 30 years and 30 years is going down or not? Power Rangers, that future, what do you expect in the future Power Rangers?
What do I think the future of Power Rangers
the future of the series, TV and films. What do you mean about this?
I have no idea. It's so crazy that you and I are sitting here. I started the show in 1992, actually, so it's been 27, almost 28 years for me. So that's crazy. That's a long time. I was only 22 when I started the TV show, so this has gone on longer than I was when I started it. So I don't know. Hopefully it will continue to grow and continue to have an impact on people's lives. I know that they keep trying to recreate what happened in 1993 and 94 with the original cast, and it really hasn't happened. I've been hearing a lot of good things about the current season of Beast Morphers, that people are really responding to it, so I hope that's good, but I'm sure it's a proven franchise, so it has lasted all these years, so I'm sure it can continue to last on some level. So I don't know, hopefully it will just keep evolving, and hopefully they'll figure out ways to bring back people that you guys want to see. Does that answer your question? Are you sure?
Yeah.
100%? 100%. Okay. Obrigado. Obrigado.
Tem uma casinha lá atrás, ó. É, você mesmo.
A pergunta é uma curiosidade. No filme, a roupa que os Power Rangers usam é tipo uma armadura. E na série é uma roupa normal. Eu queria saber se eles explicaram por que eles optaram por fazer tipo uma armadura no filme, diferente da série. É só uma curiosidade que eu tenho mesmo.
It's a good question. I would say that's up to the costume designer, not me. So I can't give you an actual answer, but I will say I thought the movie costumes were amazing, and they looked really cool. They looked really tough, but they were very uncomfortable to wear. And in the television series, we just wore spandex, and we were mimicking Japanese footage. So we had to do what the Japanese people did and just wear that same outfit. I think probably if we weren't trying to match Japanese footage in the TV show, our costumes would have been a lot different. But we had to base it off the Japanese TV show. But you guys seem to love the spandex. I don't know why. If you haven't worn spandex, don't act like it's so cool. Because it's embarrassing. It's almost like walking around naked all day. And people stare at you. Not cool. Just saying.
Só um negocinho. Tô dando pelada aí, rapaz.
Boa tarde. Em algumas temporadas, a turma original apareceu de novo, como Johnny Young em Operação Traveloz e o Jason Frank em Dino no Trovão. Se eles te chamassem para ser o mentor, fazer uma participação especial nas atuais temporadas, você participaria?
Okay, well, like I said previously, I have been asked to go back, and I'm totally willing to go back to the TV show, but they have to film it under the Screen Actors Guild contract. So that's the American Actors Union contract. But they don't do that. They film it non-union. And the reason why union is so important is because they give you health benefits. They make sure you have fair hours. They make sure that you get paid fair wages. They make sure that you have adequate breaks. So when I filmed Power Rangers, I didn't have any of that. I didn't have health insurance. They didn't pay me a lot of money. They kept all the money for themselves, and you know, we worked sometimes 6 days a week, 12 to 15-hour days. So I need to protect myself from doing that. I can't speak for Johnny. I can't speak for Jason as to why they go back. Especially Jason. For me, he's at the top level of being a Power Ranger, and he has so much power that he should put his foot down and say, no, if you want me to come back, you pay me what I'm worth. He's worth so much more than what he's doing. And for me as an actor and his friend, I don't understand it. I get it, he does it for you guys, and that I totally understand. But he's worth more, and he should demand more because he's what sells their toys. So he should be given a lot. I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry it's a little political. I don't know how to say I'm sorry. Disculpe.
The union requirements are one of the reasons the show is not actually filmed in the US anymore, right?
Correct. And that's what's crazy about it. That shows a level of greed to me that I don't quite understand. That they refuse to follow the union guidelines, and instead of paying fair wages, they move it to another country like New Zealand, where they don't have to be bothered with any of that. It's not right. Desculpe.
Boa tarde, David. Também me chamo David e gostaria de saber como foi atuar com as crianças. Como foi você ser o líder delas? Você comandar elas? Como que foi esse momento para você?
Well, children should not eat candy or sugar. So children around 12 o'clock in the afternoon, noon, become crazy, local, and wild, and scream. And so that was difficult. But overall, they were amazing to work with. They made me feel young, and you know, I got along with all of them very well. They would tease me a lot, but we had a lot of fun. So I enjoyed working with the children, but no sugar.
Lá atrás, você tá com o braço no tanto tempo? Lá atrás.
Boa tarde. Eu gostaria de saber uma coisa. Você já teve acesso a algum dos quadrinhos da Boom Studios? E se você já teve acesso, como você acha que está a representação do Niven deles?
Yeah, I'm a huge supporter of Boom Studios and the comics that they put out in terms of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and they also have the other one called Go-Go Power Rangers. I think they've done an amazing job with them, and I love them. I know you guys don't necessarily get them in Portuguese here, but I know, is it you guys? Power Rangers? Mega Power Brazil. I know that they sort of interpret them for you guys so that you can enjoy them. So kudos to you guys. Thank you so much. And I mean, I love what they've done with them. I think now where we are, at least in the United States, in terms of the comic book series, we did Shattered Grid and now we're on Beyond the Grid. I think that gets a little confusing because they're trying to introduce every character possible, and it's sort of what they did to the TV show. It's like you're introducing too many people and it's hard for you as an audience to connect to everybody. So I think on that level it gets a little weird, but overall, I think they've done a great job and I love them, and the covers, the artwork is amazing. So if you get a chance to read them, or tell me again, Mega Power Brazil, check them out and they will help you. Do you guys read them or what do you do?
We explain.
They explain what's going on, so just check them out because I appreciate them doing that for you guys. So I hope if you're reading them that you enjoy them.
Aqui no meio. Bem no meio, você mesmo.
Hi, good afternoon, Dave. So I have a question about your career as actor. How was for you as a rookie actor joining a child kids show? So and how was for you playing as a Billy, that's a geeky guy that have problems, and you have teenage problems. So, but you was 22 as an actor. How was you to influence with some of all of us as teenagers too?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, Power Rangers, again, we had no idea how popular the show was going to become. I had moved to Los Angeles, like so many people, just to become an actor. And I was auditioning for a lot of different TV shows, and I just happened to see this open casting call, and I went to it, and I landed one of the starring roles, and it became a huge success. So as an actor, and I'll say that I had only lived in Los Angeles for 3 months. So, you know, for me to get a television series that became as popular as it did within 3 months is unheard of. So I'm very blessed, and I thank God, you know, for that, because I didn't have to struggle so much. So, but yeah, that was amazing. And then Billy is much different than David. I am not smart, not intelligente, not intelligent like Billy. So Billy was a challenge for me as an actor because I didn't understand what Billy was saying, much like Billy's friends. So I would have to look words up in the dictionary and figure out what Billy was talking about and try to make it sound as natural as I could. Now, I don't know who the voice actor is here in Brazil who spoke Portuguese, but he probably did a better job than me in terms of making it sound good. But if you watch it in English, you know what I sound like, and it was just a challenge as an actor. So, you know, it was really good for me to get to play Billy. I'm smarter now.
É isso. Chegamos ao final do nosso painel. O David Yost, queria agradecer muito, pessoal. Billy, thank you so much for being here, for answering all our questions, and please do come back to Brazil.
I would love to. Again, you guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I genuinely, again, love you. If you are able to, I have 2 photo op sessions today, and I have an autograph session, so if you can come to those, please come to them. I would love to meet you personally, and just thank you, obrigado, bom dia. Thank you so much for being a fan of Power Rangers. It means the world to me, it means the world to my co-stars. Without you guys, we would be nothing, so thank you, and I hope I get to meet you, if not this time, at another Comic-Con in Brazil or somewhere in the world again, okay? Thank you.
Então é isso aí, galera. Essa foi a nossa cobertura da CCXP 2019. Eu espero que vocês tenham gostado. Muita coisa boa aconteceu aqui. Já se inscrevem no canal Power Rangers Brasil, The Walking Nerds, a nossa parceria. Eu queria agradecer também a galera do Telecine que cedeu espaço aqui pra gente nesse estúdio de vidro maravilhoso aqui. Então é isso aí, galera. Espero que vocês tenham curtido e até ano que vem. Tamo de volta. Tchau!